When we look back on the history of Western Christianity over the last 600, 700, 800 years, we discover that quite a lot of the ideas in the mainstream of Christianity, both Catholic and Protestant, both liberal and conservative, has been far more influenced than people realize by ideas that come not from the Bible, but from Greek philosophy, and particularly Plato. Now, Plato was, of course, one of the greatest thinkers the world has ever known, and it's not surprising that people went to him for help, and there is indeed quite a lot which was very helpful in Plato. But ultimately, Plato was somebody who held things apart, where the Bible tends to put them back together again. In particular, Plato held that the material universe, this physical stuff, space, time, and matter, was essentially a rather secondary thing, perhaps even a shabby, possibly even a dangerous or bad thing, and that ultimately the wise person would seek to escape it by philosophical reflection in the present, and then after death by the soul going off to a land of eternal bliss which wouldn't be about space and time and matter at all. By contrast, the view we find in the Bible, which you could call the Hebrew view if you like, the view we find in the Bible is about the goodness of creation, about a God who has made a world full of space and time and matter, teeming with life, with animals and plants and ultimately human beings, and who looks at that and says, "This is a wonderful place. This is very good. I love it. It's terrific." And that God, therefore, quite unlike the Platonic vision of God, not only doesn't mind when people enjoy the good things of life, he says, "Go ahead, be my guests. In fact, you are my guests. When you celebrate food and drink, when you celebrate marriage and family life, when you celebrate the beauty of the earth and the sky and the sea, when you admire and stand in awe of the great monsters like whales and hippopotamuses, God says, go ahead, enjoy it. I made all this stuff and it is very, very good. And what's more, I am going to flood it with my glory, with my life, with my love one day, so that it is like itself, only much, much more so." An image which I often use to help us get our minds around this and to get us away from Plato and into the biblical world is the image of a wonderful chalice or a beautiful cup or a glass. It can be a beautiful thing in itself, and in church we sometimes use chalices for communion made out of even gold or silver. And it can be a wonderful object to look at. But then when you pour the wine in it, and when the wine takes on the meaning it does within the sacrament, the chalice is still a beautiful thing, but it is now filled with a new significance, a new meaning. In the Bible, that's what it's going to be like with creation. And this is something that Plato could never have dreamt of. The whole world is a beautiful place as it is, but it's lacking something. And the Bible says that one day the earth shall be full of the knowledge of the glory of the Lord as the waters cover the sea. If you have that as your hope, then you can leave Plato behind, learn from him the various things that he can still teach you perhaps. St. Paul says, after all, that we should take every thought captive to obey Christ. But ultimately, in the biblical worldview, creation is good, and we are delighted to be part of it. And God will one day make out of it this new creation, which will be filled with his glory as the waters cover the sea.